Welcome to the Interrogation True Crime Stories podcast. All the stories told on this show are either fabricated, alleged, or didn't happen at all and shouldn't be used in the court of law. We hope. Welcome to Interrogation True Crime Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Corey David, and today we have a special guest all the way from a backyard in Los Angeles, California, Brandie Posey.
Hello, welcome to my yard.
Yeah.
We got an uncharacteristically cloudy day in Los Angeles. Pick the right one.
Perfect for podcasting.
I love it.
Yeah, when you think of an ideal studio space, you're like, just something with a lot of cloud cover.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want light, like sunlight. Just, it doesn't, we're unearthing the things with the power, the light from our voices, not from the sky. Well, take a back seat, son.
This is probably going to be the only episode where I'm going to wind up more tan than when I came here, so that's totally fine by me.
Perfect.
Well, I did note that, first of all, thanks for having me over.
Of course. You're welcome.
I have seen the picture of your enormous skeleton on Instagram. And
12-foot baby.
Really easy to... Yeah, what's the deal with the skeleton?
He's my 12-foot skeleton. He's been up for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. I got him from Home Depot several years ago, and... it's my favorite purchase.
You just keep it up all year round, though.
Yeah. The weather here is so nice, and we can dress them for different holidays. And I feel like every holiday could use a skeleton. Mm-hmm. And my neighbors love it. There's a toddler in my neighborhood that goes, "Hi, skeleton." Whenever he sees it,
you've actually become it's become a community figure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I didn't ever considered myself which is funny. I never considered myself an eccentric, but wow, am I actually? So
see, I would venture to guess that you are a quirky, kooky person, though. I know you say that, but I'm just I don't know. I mean, for as long as I've known you, you absolutely seem like the kind of person that keeps Halloween decorations up year round.
I mean, I for sure am. I just have not considered myself I guess I'm just oh. Yeah, my weirdness is on the outside more now than I think it is. I mean, I guess to me, an eccentric is an older person, and I'm oh, bitch, you are 40, I guess.
Yeah, I think it just...
I'm stepping into it.
It only reveals itself as being eccentric when you get older, and you're like, wait a minute, not everybody still does this?
Yeah.
It's all the things you did when you were a teenager, or maybe you're in your 20s, and you're like, it's just part of being young, and then all of a sudden you get older, and you're like, wait a minute, how come everybody stopped?
Oh, no, I'm still doing it.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I like things because life can be so mundane, and a neighborhood can look so boring and just cookie cutter, that if somebody just wants to keep... I saw one the other day that was it was the same skeleton, but they had a dinosaur skeleton too.
Ooh.
That's just fun. Why can't we just have fun with decorations?
I think there's something about when people get older, they I am an adult, and that means I must be boring, or I must put away my childish things. And I'm I don't know, you can keep some of them. I own my house, and I also own a 12-foot skeleton.
Uh-huh.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's the thing is if you finally got to the point where you own property, do whatever fun shit you want with it.
Yeah, I'm a whimsical libertarian.
I'm just
I mean, no, I'm not at all. But
you're freedom in terms of what I decide to decorate with.
Yes, exactly. I am a Party City libertarian.
Yeah, you're their number one client.
Yeah, exactly.
So I forget, how long have you actually been out in LA? A long time, right?
I've been here for 16 and a half years.
Yeah,
somehow.
Damn. Yeah, and we had met in Alaska. Was that the first time that you were up there, or have you been had you toured up there? Have you been back since?
No, not yet. I would like to go back and do a little bit of a run and see some other parts of Alaska.
Yeah, for sure.
It was really fun. It was gorgeous. I mean, it was so pretty. I definitely got COVID for the first time there.
Oh, yeah. I think I was in the car with you when you were I'm shocked that I didn't.
I know. It was one of those man, I remember getting off the plane and being oh shit, no one's wearing a mask. My streak might be over.
Yeah, I was going to say you hadn't gotten it to that point, right? You were one of the last holdouts.
Yeah, I was really proud. And then there was a moment where I had my headlining show, and then that show after was a cover band. And
oh, that's right, yeah.
They asked me to sing on stage with them. Oh, yeah. And I was singing 99 Red Balloons into the face of a toothless Alaskan, and I was you're getting COVID right now.
Yeah.
It was the moment that I was this is, if it's that, it could freeze, and I'd be probably wondering how we got here.
You actually see a tiny little spit leave the lead singer's mouth and land in yours, and you're this is it, this is the moment.
There it is.
But if you're going to go out, that's a way to go out in style.
For sure,
how'd you get COVID? Oh, I was singing in a metal band in Alaska.
Yeah, no big deal. I was singing with a metal band in Alaska after headlining the first first comedy festival in a few years after surviving a plague. So it worked out.
If that's the deal you're going to make with the devil, I think it's fine.
Yeah. Well, and the last night I was there, I also did a Northern Lights tour with an awful couple, and the idea that I might have given them COVID has made me happy.
Right. I was going to say, you used your evil for good.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about all the ways that people maliciously were just going out and giving everybody COVID, you're like, you know what? I've been burdened with this evil superpower, and I'm going to use it to my advantage to make. It's like a vigilante.
Yes.
Sweet, dude. So wait, talk to people about Picture This, because it's a really fun show.
Thank you.
I mean, I've heard so many great things about it, and any
Nice.
comic I've talked to that's ever worked on it just has raves about it. So just tell people about what it is and kind of where you came up with the idea.
So it's a show I've been doing for 11 years now. That me and Sam Varela created it. He's my producer right here in Los Angeles, and we pair up comedians with animators, and they work on a statique, and they animate your jokes live during your set, and then it's you interacting with your own jokes because you're seeing them drawn in real time.
Oh yeah,
and it's amazing because it's crazy to see the way that somebody else interprets the thing that you're saying. Because I think as we're telling jokes, we're like, oh, this is what it looks like to me, but then to be like, oh, somebody else, that's what they thought I was saying.
Well, I love. I was, Opie, one of the comics here. I was talking to him the other day about one of his jokes, and I was very visual, and he wasn't necessarily drawing a picture with his words, but I love any joke where as soon as you hear the punchline, it immediately forms an image in your head.
Totally.
So it's interesting to have that come to life for any of the jokes that you're doing, even if you hadn't even pictured how this looks in a real life scenario.
Totally, yeah.
So they do it live, it's not something, and you see the animation as it's happening. On the screen.
See it as it's happening. It's like you're looking at their Photoshop as they're drawing and adding layers, and they can do quick animation. And the animators we get are amazing. The supervising director on BoJack Horseman and Big Mouth, and the creator of Hey Arnold does our show all the time, and Pendleton Ward's done it a bunch, and so it's really talented artists who have comedic, their own way that they're funny.
Yeah, because they already draw for comedy specifically. What an interesting. I actually have never even thought about that. I understand being a writer and figuring out how to write punchlines, but how to comedically draw for comedy.
It's interesting because it's we have the same comedic brain for premises and stuff, but their output is just visuals versus the verbal.
Yeah.
So it's been very fun. It's really fun just to kind of pair up with them because they're very good at puns or double entendres or you say one thing and they're actually the double meaning of it is this, and you're like, oh my god, I wouldn't even have thought of that.
You're like, god damn it, you're so much smarter than I am.
I mean, it's so funny because we the credits on the animators are always more impressive than the comics on the show,
which is pretty rad to have.
Yeah, it's super fun, and it's also just getting to play around in your own joke, and some of the animators are antagonistic, so they'll come after you a little bit, and I love it because also as an artist, they don't get immediate feedback from their audience ever. They, when you're working on a cartoon,
oh, very true,
it takes you a year or years before you actually get to ever even watch anybody interact with it. So the ones that love to do our show, they're just I never get to hear people just laugh at my drawings.
Yeah, that's actually really neat because I'm sure there can't be a lot of times that they walk into a room and somebody walks up to them and be like, hey, I really like what you did with that horse.
Yeah, totally.
In that cartoon that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So it's probably fun for them to get some great that same kind of satisfaction that we're looking for of somebody coming up to you afterwards and be like, I really loved that joke. Yeah, you're like, oh man, that picture was so rad. So do you keep everything of your sets? So do you do a set every time and then you get a picture too? Yeah.
I do a host set every time, and sometimes we'll do an intermission in the show, so I'll do 2 shorter sets, and then I've been doing it I've been hosting the show for 11 years, so I'll usually just now I'll bring a half-assed idea and then work it out on stage with my animator too, to be let's here's my riff idea, let's play with it, and then I love it. It's just so fun. It's it keeps you from getting too precious about your comedy, and it's just very the whole point is just to laugh and have fun, and sometimes they'll delight me with some idea that they have, and I'm also, who doesn't love cartoons?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of when you fuck with the sign language interpreter.
Yeah, totally.
You just change up the joke a little bit to be let's see what you do with this.
Yeah, what does that say? Yeah.
And I know you said last time we talked. You were starting a label, which is really exciting. Yeah. Yeah. So how's that? Are we allowed to talk about that at this point?
It's called Burn This Records. You can find us on Instagram at Burn This Records, and It's been good. Like we're hopefully locking this weekend our first like original release, which will be Andy Erickson. That's going to come out at the end of September, and then I recorded my new album and special that'll be out probably by October at some point. That's almost done, and then I had self-released my first album, and then I'm very good at the whole process, and was like, I really love giving notes and like working through somebody, helping somebody get through the whole thing, and like I'm just good at Excel, and like
that's one thing. I mean, I think a lot of people miss is just how to doing more of the business side stuff.
Yeah,
and, booking's one thing, right?
Yeah,
like putting together tours or whatever, but actually figuring out like how to make an album, how to distribute it, how to get paid on that thing.
Totally,
all the legal. I mean, how much legal work is involved with like actually putting out an album? Like,
I mean, it's a contract between like you and your the label and the artist, and then it's like the label has signed agreements with the places that it gets distributed to, basically.
Okay.
So it's me being like, hey, I've looked over all this shit. This is what the deal is coming from them. And if you agree to that, then that's our, and like I do a much more fair split than a lot of the comedy labels. And
well, there aren't a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's not a ton. There's like, there's like a special thing, Blonde Medicine, 800-pound Gorilla, who I don't like very much.
Sure.
I'll say that onto a podcast.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're alone.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's like All Things Comedy, Stand Up Records, Radland Records. There's probably 10 all told.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think any of them. Radland is run by a comedian, Kyle Clark, but like I'm the only other comedian I know that's like running one.
Yeah, and what was the motivation? Just because you didn't like the way other people were doing it?
Well, yeah. Well, so there's a lawsuit right now happening with SiriusXM, and 800-pound Gorilla has like an affiliate called Spoken Word over publishing rights for comedy, and I think it's kind of a bullshit lawsuit. But because of that, SiriusXM is only accepting comedy through labels now, so they're not taking any self-release stuff the way they used to.
So you used to be able to just like send something to them directly, like if you recorded an album, then you could just not upload it or whatever, but just like send it to the appropriate person with no middleman.
Yeah, you could submit it directly, and then like you retain, like my first album, it's like I'm the artist and the rights owner, like I own it 100%. And
why don't more people do that then? Is it just because of the Sirius thing, like because people wanted to be able to submit to that, or is it distribution? Like why wouldn't anybody just release it on their own?
I think people think things are more daunting than they are.
Okay.
Like, and it was like there was a learning curve about being like, okay, how do you do all this stuff? But I'm friends with a lot of musicians, and I kind of was like, hey, you guys release your own stuff. What do you do? It can't be any different than what we do.
Yeah.
And so I just learned from a few people and just kind of did my homework. And because to me, most comedy labels, the deal is a 50-50 split. And I was like, I'm not giving away that much money to somebody else.
I mean, for all the work that you put into it, and do they own? I'm sure they own part of the rights to it, like after it's put out, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. They own it. They own 50% of it usually until for any period of time.
Infinity.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a Motown deal. Just like
I mean, truly.
You never owned this to begin with.
Yeah, and like the fact that my album has been paying my rent for 7 years, and the idea that
that's
having
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, truly.
What do you feel like financially? Was that kind of like a big tipping point for you, where it's like where money was like fine, but then like selling the album just like blew up, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I actually like make a good. Was it a transition from like I'm doing okay to like making like an actual living because of the album?
Yeah. I mean, but getting on SiriusXM like changed. Like I was like, oh, I'm like actually a professional now. Like my bills are all paid by comedy.
Hell yeah, that's so dope.
Yeah, and like that became the difference. But the idea if I'd given half of that to somebody else, it's like that wouldn't be the case.
Sorry, that was beautiful. Butterfly.
Just
wanted to do.
Like, I am a fairy of learning how to do things on your own.
God, I should podcast outdoors more often. You want to go to the woods anyway?
Yeah, let's go to the mountains.
Just walk around in a field.
Exactly, always.
I remember. So I mean, these days, anytime I see somebody with like a CD, like they're selling a CD, I'm like, listen, I get that you made this album, but I don't feel like that's the medium anybody wants anymore. Like these days, is it just like all about just selling it? It's all about selling it online, right? Yeah. I remember one time I was working with somebody who was like an OG New York comic, and he was selling CDs, and it wasn't a great weekend. There weren't a lot of people there or whatever, and so there was already kind of like a deflating feeling for everybody involved. And then he was trying to peddle these CDs afterward, but like angrily, just like begrudgingly selling these things. And by the end of the weekend, he'd been sitting on the copy that he was like showing to people. So the corners are all bent. I'm like, this is clearly a symbol of a bygone era, and I'm just like, man, this. I don't want that. I don't want to be that. Like, I don't.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's like, to me, like, an album can be anything now. Where it's like, you can slap a QR code onto a fanny pack and that's an album. You know,
for sure.
You could put it onto a carabiner and your album's a carabiner. It's like, because like, who needs like the physical media of it?
Well, I think everybody. I mean, I always have thought like a vinyl record would be cool, right?
Yeah,
but it doesn't seem
course.
practical in any way, shape, or form.
It's so expensive, and then if you were like a touring person, it's like they're very, fragile. Like they can melt, like any number of things. Like I know a lot of comics.
Just sell like a bunch of melted records with a QR code on it for people to download.
I know a few people that have done that, and they're like, "Oh man, I spent a lot of money on vinyl," and I'm like,
you can still hang this on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember when I put my album out 7 years ago, I got 250 cassettes made. I probably have maybe 7 or 8 left. That's how long it's taken to sell them. But it's also like they're small. I'll put like 4 in my bag and take them to a show, and I'm like, whatever.
There might be a sucker for. That's the thing with a cassette is that somebody might have this nostalgia of like they like to own those. They have a whole collection in their apartment or whatever.
Totally, yeah.
Pop it into their Walkman. Go for a walk with Brandie Posey.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's interesting. In the Midwest, there's a lot of guys that have old school trucks that still have cassette things.
For sure, yeah.
And they're just like, I haven't bought a cassette I got a new cassette for my truck. I'm like, hell
it's a big day.
Yeah.
It's a big day in Omaha.
Omaha does great for cassettes.
Oh, fuck yeah. All right, let's get into a few dumb crimes I found on the internet this week.
Yeah.
I'll read you the headline. Just tell me your first impression.
Okay, great.
Secret Service ends investigation into the cocaine found in the White House without identifying a suspect. Any thoughts?
I mean, it's adorable that they didn't want to name the president's son. I think that's so cute.
I mean, I think the bag must have gotten dropped because he was bringing it to Joe. How do you think he stays awake?
I mean, exactly, right? There's definitely like, I'm like, look, man, whatever we got to do to keep this guy over the line, I guess.
Honestly, I mean, the only way to defeat dementia is cocaine. Just ask my grandfather. It's the only way we could keep him with it. Sure, he didn't know what era it was.
Yeah,
no
whatever.
idea of time period. I'm doing blow in the Renaissance age, you know?
Totally. I just think it's funny that like it just makes me laugh, the idea of like somebody being full on cocaine, like doing a tour of the White House, just like, yeah, Lincoln bedroom. It's like, why? Like, of all the places, like, I've never done coke, but like the people, when I've been around people doing coke, I'm like, last thing I think you want to be in is like a place of business.
Yeah, like this place is lame.
Yeah, I'd be like,
there's no music here.
Yeah, exactly. Can we turn it up? Can we turn up the national anthem?
So do you think it was somebody on a tour, or it was somebody like a politician, like somebody that was supposed to be at the White House?
I mean, I don't. It depends what room it was found in.
I'm shocked that this hasn't happened yet. Like, there's no way that this hasn't happened. So this seems like the fact that it even leaked at all was they were trying to get somebody specifically in trouble.
Yes.
And then as soon as the story kind of leaked a little bit, they squashed it. Somebody killed somebody.
Yeah, that to me, honestly, it probably is like Matt Gates's, and they were like, just to be like, we know, motherfucker, we're scaring you. And then they got him in line, and they were like, okay, now the story goes away, but look how quickly that story can come out, and look how quickly it can go away.
Yeah, we're not to be messed with.
Yeah, exactly. You could always also just go away. Anybody can get cancer very quickly. The CIA's got shit, man.
I wonder, but if it was somebody that was in the White House, like it actually was a politician, it had to be really good cocaine.
I'd hope
there's
so.
no way that you're getting garbage blow in the White House.
You're getting the FBI grade, like straight from fucking Panama or whatever.
Mr. President, we just confiscated this from a big bust in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, there was a country in South America that was trying to become socialist, and we just went in and we fucked it up, but we got the cocoa, and it's delightful.
Yeah, don't worry, they have all the guns they need, and then we've got our special delivery here for Hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to so on in the Oval Office, I can only imagine that table looks so smooth. Like it would have to be a good I think it's probably a good Coke table.
Yeah.
I could also imagine a tourist being like, I'm going to see how many rooms in the White House I can secretly do a bump in.
Yeah, exactly.
If over here we have a portrait of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, exactly. Just hearing that drip happen. I mean, like, and we have definitely had cokey presidents. I mean, like, Ronald Reagan was president. Like, that's a cokey dude for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
the
absolutely.
80s.
Yeah,
I mean, Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton for sure. Obviously, no weed because he didn't inhale, right?
Yeah.
But that's what he really meant to say. Is like, I've never inhaled, but I will snort.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not. Don't worry. I'm not. My lungs are important to me. My nose, on the other hand.
Yeah, between him and John Kennedy, like those guys were party animals.
Yes.
Like there was absolutely no way there wasn't just a period of time like when they were in office. Like the Oval Office is locked. There's 4 strippers in here, and he just wants to have a party.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Trump's entire cabinet was coked out of their gills for 4 years. You know
Amazing
what I mean?
that he seems like the kind of person that doesn't do it at all, but he just surrounds himself with yes men, and by yes men I mean people that are just ripping lines constantly.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think Trump doesn't do cocaine, but I think he chews Adderall. I think he's chomping on Adderall like Altoids. I think is what's actually happening.
Somebody just convinced him it's Tums.
Yeah.
Just gaslit him his entire presidency.
Exactly.
Like, listen, I know you have a lot of heartburn, but we also just we need to, whatever character you're in right now, we just need to keep that going.
Yeah. Totally.
What do you think like if you were gonna do a drug in the White House? Any because do you do drugs at all?
I don't do any drugs. I'm technically straight edge, but I'm not an asshole, so I don't say that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I missed the X's on your hands.
Yeah, I know. If I can X up, sometimes I will because I think it's funny to X up as a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think anything like mushrooms is probably weird to do in the White House because I don't think there's any like good feelings there to tap into. I think you would just be more depressed than anything.
You would just want to go hang out on the lawn.
Yeah, exactly. When it's like, what, you want to look in the mirror that Abe Lincoln used on mushrooms?
Or you just think it's a mirror and it's actually a picture of Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
You're like, shit, I look like shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think every president should probably be forced to do ayahuasca in a diaper on television.
Oh, yeah.
I think that should be like part of the debates.
Yeah.
Because like, us watch them just get ayahuasca out of their mind and then see what comes out of their brains.
I'm sure they do that at like the Grove or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what was
Bohemian
going
Grove
on.
is the Grove you're talking about,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. That probably, I'm going to go ahead and assume that happened at Epstein's Island for sure. There was some ayahuasca,
yeah.
Somebody's running around in a diaper.
Yes, absolutely, without a doubt.
So they
the children.
The kids.
Yeah, the kids in the diapers.
All right, next one. Republicans, blah, blah, blah. I love when people say love in that. Marjorie Taylor Greene waved the photos of Hunter Biden naked in a congressional hearing. So, as we had said before the podcast, definitely linked to the cocaine.
Yeah, I assume that these stories are related. But so it's funny because I've kind of tapped out of national politics for a second because there's so much shit happening in LA. And also, what are you going to do nationally when you live in California, especially?
Mm-hmm.
That this story popped through to me the other day and I was like, man, government is... Things are so stupid. They're
it's
so
wild.
stupid.
It's a reality TV show.
Yeah, it's full-on reality TV. Also, like, I have a question because you've partaken in quite a few drugs here and there.
Yeah, more than that.
How many photos of you doing drugs naked exist?
None.
Okay.
None. I mean, I'm trying to think if there was any like.
Now imagine if your dad was the president. How many photos do you think of you doing drugs naked would exist?
I've definitely been naked under, but it's usually like to go skinny dipping.
Yeah,
like we're on a bunch of acid, and I'm like, there's a lake, and a swim sounds really nice.
Not just you alone with your phone. That's the thing that boggles my mind is I'm just like, why are there so many pictures of your dick?
Well, that's everybody. That's everybody these days. Like sexy nude pics, and just sending them to everybody.
Yeah.
It's become so normalized.
But if your dad is the president.
That doesn't seem to have mattered to him his entire life.
I know it doesn't.
From what I've gathered.
I know it doesn't, but it just really boggles my mind that I'm like, all right, you send it and then you delete.
I mean, it seems like a desperate cry for attention, or just like wanting to be noticed. But I think I'm like, mission accomplished.
Yeah, we know.
You don't need to keep going.
Yeah, I've seen the Hunter Biden movie that the right made, and it's hilarious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so funny.
Is he naked in that too?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, are we talking like full dick swinging, like naked, or do they just cover that part?
They got that part covered because they wanted to get in theaters. It did not get in theaters because it was not good.
Because this is terrible.
Yeah, fucking ridiculous.
But it will be playing at drive-in theaters across the Midwest.
Absolutely. They'll double feature with that new Q movie that just came out with Caviezel in it.
And then stick around for Barbie.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's the barbecue is that matchup.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to claim that Biden engaged in sex trafficking and listed payments to sex workers as a tax write-off. I mean, if you're going to do it, see if you can get away with it in taxes.
Of
Smart
course.
move. As part of her argument, she held up poster-sized prints of Biden's nude photos, which were taken from his laptop. That's so dirty.
It's so dirty.
Like, to a certain degree, like, you hate that it's happening in American politics, but you're like, crazy. Like this is in a movie. Like this would be a scene in a movie. You're like, we don't have a leg to stand on, so we're just going to show you pictures of our opponent's dick.
Well, like the level of troll is breathtaking to me, where I'm just like, God, you guys are so your lack of decorum and decency is non-existent. Like it's like shit that you wouldn't even think to do.
Well, they realized they could get away with it with Trump being in office. So you're just like everybody just kind of realized, oh, we can do this.
Yeah,
I didn't know we could do that.
I know.
We could act like we're in middle school again.
Yeah, I had no idea we could go this dirty on the shit, and I'm just like, man, Biden, what are you gonna?
They just
gotta hit.
They don't have it in them. Yeah,
I know they don't. That's the problem. I'm just like, man, you guys gotta get. You need like a lesson. You need like to bring in some
hire some writers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, hire some writers right now. They could use it.
I was talking to a friend yesterday about like the upcoming election and whatever, and I just thought the concept of like Trump hasn't been able to come out with a special in 4 years, so he's just been writing material this entire time. He's just going to put people on blast as soon as the debates come back.
He's gonna crush it.
Now he's had time to prepare
from a fully entertainment value place. It's gonna be a hell of an election.
Oh, he's undefeated. Like in terms of like winning a debate, or at least just like being the most entertaining person. You're like, you're fat. And I'm like, all right, I didn't know it.
Damn, he just shoots in the hip. Well, and he does have that like. I mean, he's full of shit, but he is authentic in that way that you don't. He doesn't. He's not listening to like a bunch of people who have like looked at polls or whatever to be like, yeah, if you say this, the middle America likes you. He's just like, fuck it, I'm Trump, like me. And
he's like, I got it. Hold my beer.
Yeah, it's like he's our really fucked up mascot. He's a very fucked up weird mascot.
And we're with it. He represents a contingent of the country whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And he is kind of just the guy running around on a football field, just be like, touchdown.
I know. He's gritty. He's American gritty, unfortunately.
So with the poster for of Hunter Biden, I hope it was at least a good photo.
I hope so.
It'd be worse if you actually had the time to go through the dude's laptop and strategically pick a naked picture. Just like at least it's embarrassing enough that you're showing this to everybody, but at least like, was it a good angle? Was the light? I'm gonna go ahead and guess no.
Probably not.
I've never seen a regular guy take a good naked photo.
No, and I think it's like probably not on the angle's wrong. He's probably sweaty. Like it's none of it's.
It's just looking down into the camera.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
It's
lots
like
of folds.
Like the tip of his dick is like right in the bottom, but it's kind of blurry because it's out of focus, and it's just his face staring down at the camera.
Exactly. Well, it's just so funny to put. You just put fucking dick on C-SPAN? Can you do that? Like, I hope she gets fined or something. I mean, she's not going to. Nothing will happen to her, which is hilarious. Now you've just said that that's okay to do.
Yeah.
Just from like it's just wild to be like, man. Not even as a president, but like that's your son. Do something.
Yeah, I don't even know if there was there wasn't a clap back. He didn't stand. I would go like at least go confront the other parent. Yeah. You know what I mean? And be like, did you hear what your daughter did to my son?
Kevin McCarthy, I have something to talk to you
about.
It's
not very nice.
Yeah, rein her in.
And she took his lunch money.
I mean, I just would punch her damn ass in the face and then be like, well, what are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
Throw the president. Honestly, people would
I think it should and is probably going to happen at some point. Like if this is the level of decorum that they're fighting at and they're debating at, like somebody's going to get rocked in the face. Like Lauren Boebert is going to try to punch somebody directly in the face.
Well, and here's the thing. If you hit one of them, your approval ratings are going to go up.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if Biden, like, rocked MTG, we'd all be like, oh, fuck, he might still be president.
Yeah. Like, he might actually convert some Trump people.
Yes, exactly.
Like, whoa, we didn't know we had you in that. We didn't know we had that in you. He's got a mean left hook.
Yeah, exactly. Show me that old fighting Irish. Come on.
He does kind of look like the leprechaun.
Yes.
If he grew a little goatee and put on a green hat.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Get out there, do that shit.
Oh, fuck. That'll do it for our dumb crimes of the week. So I always tell everybody to come with a story about a crime you committed, witnessed, something where the cops were involved. You didn't have to get caught. Can be heinous, could be mundane. So what did you have for us today?
All right. I want to tell you about a tour story that happened to me several years ago. This is probably like 2019. So this group of like...
Did you say 1820?
Oh, 2018,
Just like,
2019.
damn,
This is from 200 years ago. I'm a
Doing
ghost.
the
and that's my
original
crime.
13 Colonies tour.
Yeah. I'm a colonial ghost, and that is my crime.
That's actually my skeleton out front.
Yeah, it's actually that's my skeleton of Dorian Gray. I used to be 12 feet tall.
People were old. People were taller back then. They didn't live as long, but they were 12 feet tall.
Exactly. So I tour sometimes with this group of female musicians called the Vagabondies Roadshow, and it's like a bunch of like punk ladies from Back Up, and like the Bomb Pops, and like a bunch of just acoustic punk gals.
Fun.
And I am like an MC, and I kind of run the whole night, and it's like a fun 2-hour show. It's great because like we go on tour, and like we'll go to brunch in the morning, and we'll do yoga during the day, and it's just like such a chill, cool.
It's nice to have a crew too.
Yes,
like
it's
a
so
bunch
much
of
fun.
people you get along with, and being like opening for a band, and just like being able to like, because comedy's awesome, but being able to be a part of like a high energy like rock show is also like sweet. I got to make people laugh a bunch. Now I just get to hear some sick music.
Totally. And then we would all like sing with each other and stuff. And it's just a really fun, very positive, great crew. All of our shows have been delightful, except for Phoenix, Arizona, because I've never been to Phoenix and not seen a fist fight.
That sounds like Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's got
just
the
like
same
a
energy.
Different level of anger.
Yeah, the desert just boils the brain.
That's probably it. There's like everybody's just on edge because like they're just so boiling. Their insides are literally boiling.
It's so hot. I think that's what's happening in their brains.
I feel like I don't know if Phoenix is exactly the same, but I was in Albuquerque. I felt like if I just looked at I'm one glance away from getting my ass kicked at any given point in time.
Albuquerque looks like a fight. Like it has a similar. It has Phoenix energy for
like
sure. So we did this show at this venue, and the venue had called us earlier in the day, and they were like, "Hey, there is this band, this young punk band from Denver, actually, who are in town. They were supposed to do a house party show. Their house party fell through. They were wondering if they could play after you guys." Because we were like, well, we're like kind of a 2-hour thing.
Yeah, that's which is a decent chunk of time.
Yeah, and we're like, well, if you guys want them after us, that's totally fine, no problem. And we're like, okay, cool. We want to be helpful. So we do our show, and we see these like 4...
Big mistake. I see Arrested Development voice. They were not.
They were not. So we see these 4 like angry little... and these are like hair up in Liberty spikes, like fully decked out, like full...
Playing the character. Yeah, you are the character. Yeah.
Yeah, we see them walking around.
The punk rock NPC in the video games.
They're like 19-year-olds. They're furious. They have to watch these old women like perform. You could tell they're just like annoyed. Because like we're like playing Fleetwood Mac and shit. It's like they're just like, what the fuck is happening?
What
There's
a bunch of posers.
Truly, that's what's happening. I'm like, half these girls are in bands that are bigger than yours will ever be. But okay, they also like other things. Whatever.
We're also letting you be here.
Yes, you are our guest. We invited you.
Just immediately start throwing shade. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're standing in the back, arms crossed, like so annoyed with us, and we're like, I don't understand this attitude.
Love
but
commitment
whatever.
to the character.
Yeah. So we finish. We're selling merch. We're hanging out. We had a good crowd. And we're just chilling. So they start setting up. They didn't have their own equipment, so they were using ours. And they start sound checking, and I call them baby bird punk because they just sounded like
Okay.
Yeah, bird and nest because that's what they sounded like. Awful, too loud. Mix is not
There's
good.
an owl hooting there somewhere.
Exactly. And they sounded awful. They were too loud, and like everybody that was there to see us was like, "Oh no, thank you."
It just went from like actual like legit punk to noise.
Yes.
Now everybody's just dealing with noise.
Yeah. And people were like, "No, we're not. We'll be outside."
Yeah,
so, like,
perfect timing. You're like, we're doing this. We let you guys be on at the end so people could casually leave.
Yes, exactly. So our crowd was just like, we bought merch, we're gonna be outside. So like the room empties out. It had been like probably 70 or 80 people there, but they were all like, no, thank you. So we're like
unanimously, and we're good.
Yeah,
and
everyone was like, we had a nice time. The night is over. Okay. So they were packing up merch, kind of just like, well, I guess we have to watch them a little bit. They start their first song. They make it about 30 seconds in, and the drummer just goes, "God damn it!" and he kicks over the drum set.
And it's not even his.
No, it's not his drum set. And he just goes, "Fuck this! Where is everybody? Oh, Phoenix, your scene sucks." And then one of them pulls out their phone and is just like, "Is this your scene, Phoenix? Nobody's here. Fuck your city."
Just
and
trying too hard for nobody. This guy's like 6 followers.
Yeah, there's like a bartender, and then there's the 7 of us like packing up merch in the back, and then they start throwing the microphones in the ground, and we're like, no, our equipment, dude, you don't get to break our stuff.
Yeah.
So we start we're like, no, okay, never mind. So we just start taking stuff down to be like, all right, cool, that's fine, never mind. We thought we were being nice, but you guys are assholes. Not engaging, but just taking stuff off the stage. And then they're like, you fucking cunts, what are you doing? And then we're like, all right. And then the bouncers come in, they're like, these fucking Nazis. They start saying Nazi cunts.
I love the dedication to being punk without the music part. Like, without being any good at the music, they're doing everything else, right? That you're like, this is going to be epic. We're going to tell people about this for years.
Really insane. We're just like, this is not a story. This is like, you guys are being crazy. Like, no, everybody was supporting you.
Yeah.
Everyone here was supporting you to like do your horrible music. Fine. So we're packing up our stuff. Bouncer, like they're yelling at the bouncers and middle fingers in their faces and calling them Nazis. The bouncers throw them out. And then Jenny, one of the gals in Vagabondies, she rolled up their little banner and like went to take it outside to them.
Mind you, to be still being so polite.
Just trying to be like, just get them. I can't
believe that you guys had that much patience. To be completely honest,
here is the thing: when you were like a woman in your late 30s, early 40s, and you were looking at like an 18-year-old boy rage out, you're just like, I could destroy you.
Yes.
Like you think you are so tough. You are such a little baby. With if I pushed you to the ground, you would turn to dust. Like I can't. So I'm just trying not to engage because I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So you're just trying to be like, they're just kids. They're angry. Something clearly is going on.
I really wish you would have just somebody would have just cracked a guitar over somebody, just like Brooke.
Well, I'm not done the story yet.
I'm glad I could tee this up.
So I shouldn't have done this, but as they were being thrown out, I did start chanting, "Where are your parents? Where are your parents?" And the little drummer goes, "My parents are fucking dead."
So in the ground then. Good.
Yes.
Well, can they come pick you up?
Yeah, I just went, well, good for them. And
yeah,
so
they're better off.
They're yelling. They're like kicking their legs in the bouncer's hands. Jenny rolls up the poster to take it out to them, and the lead singer, who's a little wiry motherfucker, he gets his hand around the bouncer and he punches Jenny in the face.
No.
And she comes back in and she's like, one of them hit me? And then, because we were all like, oh, they've struck us now?
Yeah.
Now we've been hit.
Doing everything wrong.
And Jenny is like she's like a second grade teacher vibe. She's just such a nice, kind
Yeah, you could tell by the
artist.
way she did that. She comes inside and she's like, I think one of them punched me.
Yeah, she's like one of the nicest people I've ever met. And and also like musicians are so nice. They make comedians just seem like such true assholes. So I'm the most like aggro of this entire crew.
Uh-huh.
And I feel very protective. And I was just like, they hit you? And she's like, yeah. And her eyes are welling up. And she's like, I'm not going to cry. But she punched me in the nose. It like does really hurt a
Yeah, it
lot.
just kind of forces your eyes to water.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of upset, but I don't know if we should do anything.
Yeah, and then the lead singer comes back in through the other entrance and starts doing a circle pit by himself with his middle fingers in the air, just going, fuck you, Phoenix, you stupid Nazi cunts. He's just running in a circle. And I was like, I gotta bounce her back in here. Bouncer comes back in, tackles him to the ground, and then I walked up behind him and I just curb stomped his ankle as hard as I could 4 times in a row. Because I was like, nobody's looking at me. I can do this. Mm-hmm. And I twisted that kid's ankle real fucking bad. I was like, I'm taking some back. And it was so funny because like literally the bartender and then 2 of the vagabondies who walked around the corner saw me just like stomping on this child.
They're like, should we get in? I'm like, I don't want to get curb stomped either. So I'm gonna let her do her thing.
I was like, I've got this. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I was hoping that it was the crew. It was like a collection of 30 to 40-year-old women, just like time to go to fucking beat downtown.
I mean, like my energy was hot. I was just like, you hit one of us? Okay. Well, now the gloves that I've been keeping on are extremely off.
I love you're the enforcer of the hockey team.
Oh, 100%. No, I am the goon. I am absolutely the goon in the Vagabondies.
I see that.
Absolutely. And so then the bouncer like threw this guy outside. And at that point, like the cops had been called by the bartender or whatever. And they were like, do you guys want to press charges? And I was like, no, I fucking hate cops. I'm not pressing charges. But also like, I could hear them yelling at the cops outside. So I was like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
We don't even... There's a separate crime's about to happen.
Yes, exactly.
So like we don't need to even report ours.
No, it's like their night is planned. We were just a blip in that night. Whatever happens from here on out.
They probably just do this every night. They're just like, let's show up to a town, let's get into a fight, let's get arrested.
Yeah, it's cheaper than buying a hotel somewhere, I guess.
Oh my god, great point.
Yeah, exactly.
Saving like on hotel. I mean, the road is hard.
It's hard. It's difficult. That band's name was Felony Charge.
When art imitates life.
Yeah, I know. They did not survive the pandemic. I remember looking them up recently, and like you could find their EP somewhere online. And you're like, "Ooh, this is bad. It's just as bad as I remember." And then after 2019, they don't put anything else out. So
it's a shame. If you bought one of those shirts, that'd be like a good merch find.
I know. They didn't even have time to set up their merch. Idiots. They were just they were. It was so funny because I was like, man, there's. What a misunderstanding of the community that you want to be a part of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just so funny.
But it's just a great story for everybody that was involved with that for the night. You're just like,
for sure.
It's something to trauma bond over forever.
Oh, wait, we were all like in the hotel afterwards, just like extremely hyped.
Yeah,
and, like,
of course.
They were like,
want to fight.
Yeah, they were all like, and Brandie stomped them, and they were like, yeah,
high-fiving everybody in the lobby.
Yeah, hell yeah. And the next morning we woke up and we did yoga, we got brunch, and then we went back to LA, and it was delightful.
Yeah, hell of a fucking trip. Well, thank you so much for joining the show.
Of course.
Always really great to see you.
You
Appreciate
too.
being on the pod. Just tell everybody where they can find you, any upcoming tour dates. Things like that.
You can find me at Brandazzle on Instagram and Twitter and probably whatever social media platforms are to come. BrandiePosey.com is my website. If you use Bands in Town to follow tour dates, I put all my tour dates up on there. Picture This is every 6 weeks in Los Angeles and every 6 weeks in New York. We do it bi-coastally, and then we do festivals here and there as well. But I post all that stuff on my socials. And then Burn This Records is the label, and I have a podcast called Lady to Lady that comes out every single Wednesday forever.
Hell yeah, dude.
So yeah, find me on all the shit.
If you want to check out any of my upcoming tour dates, it's CoreyDavid.com. For some upcoming Interrogation stuff, we are at the Omaha Comedy Festival the first weekend in August, being a part of that. So we'll have 3 comics doing the live show version, where comics tell stories about the crimes they've committed, and then we do a Q&A with the audience, interrogation style, and then we read audience text messages that they send in of their own crimes. There's free donuts. It's a wild time. I just bought a Officer Dangle style uniform to wear.
Fuck yeah.
It'll be really fun. And then
Love
we're
it.
doing the live taping for the show down in Houston, Texas, August 19th at the Secret Group. You can find tickets for that on my website as well.
Nice.
At Fake Corey David, at Interrogation True Crime. Like, review, subscribe, all the jazz. And see you later.
Yeah.